Hello and welcome in. We are back here once again, drafting 31 days of best ball, day 19. Excited as always to be here with you guys. We are drafting over here on DraftKings. As you guys know, it's a PPR scoring format. Always like to make that known before starting. It's very important we share that. We are drafting pick number 11. So we are here. We are live, day 19 once again. If you guys are just joining us for the very first time, welcome on in. Good to have you guys here. Make sure to like the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification button. I'll be honest, today out of all days, and I was starting to feel it yesterday, I'm a little under the weather. But that doesn't mean we stop the grind. That doesn't mean we stop drafting best balls. That won't stop me from doing it. So bear with me. I got a little bit of a what do you call it? You should be able to hear it in my voice at this point. Might be pulling out tissues from time to time, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. But good to have you guys here. Hope you guys have had a great day. We have gotten some news here and there. Sounds like one of the big news today I did see was the Josh Downs news. Sounds like things are all good with him, so I'm happy to hear that because he's someone who constantly ends up in a medical tent, always dealing with some type of issue, injury of some sort. So we definitely don't want to hear that, especially how things have been turning now for them. So positive news is what we want moving forward. We did see Calvin Austin tore his ACL. Calvin Austin, if you remember him, he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was with the Giants, and heard that he was having a pretty good camp. So really unfortunate to hear that. All right, we are up on the board here. I think we are going to go the right route here, and we're going to go ahead and take CeeDee Lamb. And then we'll see what happens here on the back end. I think CeeDee Lamb is the right pick there. And then just wanted to make sure I sent out the tweet. And I did. So we are on day 19, y'all. Day 19. It's going crazy. What's up, John? Welcome back to the stream. So we are here. Chris Olave. See, this is what happens at night, especially over here on DraftKings. So we got CeeDee Lamb. Should we go Saquon, Chase? Been feeling a little bit of Chase Brown lately, I'll be honest. Let's go ahead. Let's take Chase Brown, even with Barkley still there. Perfectly fine with that. Let me go ahead and pull up the board here for you guys to continue to follow along. So I mentioned we had the conversation about Josh Downs, right? And honestly, the biggest thing here that I've been noticing is the conversation around Caleb Williams. It's actually been kind of funny. The Bears just released their new rivalries jersey through Nike, and a few other teams as well did as well. And just the backlash that Caleb Williams constantly gets. And if you guys have been watching my stream, you guys know, more importantly, you know, not only I'm a Bears fan, but the exposure I have to him far beside being a Bears fan. I just think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on this team, bullish on this offense, and then more importantly, believing that another year under Ben Johnson, they should finally get more out of a guy as talented as Caleb Williams. We like the pieces around this offense. We like Luther Burden. We like Rome Odunze. We like Colston Loveland. DeAndre Swift is having a really good training camp as well. Really good offseason for him as well. Kyle Monangai is a little banged up right now. The offensive line, I think one of the biggest things right now out of Bears camp that maybe is not being talked about enough in the national media, and that is the left tackle situation. Last season, they didn't really... They had it at first. They started off the year with Braxton Jones, and then they ended up going over to the rookie, Ozzie Trapillo, who played well at that position, got injured. later on, and it was like towards the playoffs. I think it was the first playoff game. Anywho, he gets injured, out for a while, and now we're here in this scenario. Ozzy Trapillo is coming back. Sounds like he's starting to ramp up a little bit more in practice, which is a great thing. But they're waiting to see who's the guy that's going to take place. It seems like we're back to the same scenario again as last year, with the left tackle position having a lot of question marks. So we mentioned the offensive line because that's going to play a big part on how good this offense is going to run as well, which was a big part to why the offense played as well as they did as the season progressed. Once they started gelling together, things started looking differently. And one of the big ones was losing Drew Dahlman in the offseason to retirement. They went and traded for Garrett Bradbury out of New England and then drafted a rookie in Logan Jones. So I like what they did in the center position, to shore up and make sure that they have something in place. So we'll see how that turns out. But overall, everything we're hearing out of camp, and again, as someone who follows this team very closely, we're not hearing a lot of bad talk around Caleb Williams. And it sounds like Ben Johnson's really, really happy where Caleb is at now. And I'm excited to see how that looks once the regular season kicks off. We are no days off here. Day 19 of 31 days of best ball. We're about to come up here soon. John says, meanwhile, Decker is at home. And I'm assuming he's talking about Taylor Decker. But Taylor Decker had an opportunity to sign with Washington as well. I'm sure they made a call. And to be honest, man, the thing with Taylor Decker is he has not looked good the last couple of years. He's been on the down end. So there's got to be a reason why here. Maybe he ends up being a late signing for a team like the Bears. All right, we're back up on the clock here. Round 3, we get Garrett Wilson, Jeremiah Love, McConkey, Breece Hall. The names here, names to like, really. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. I like Breece Hall right in this area. I think he's a solid pick here. When we talk about ADP, just overall on Underdog versus DraftKings, seems like the ADP here is a little less. It's very different, obviously, as opposed to over on the other side. All right, we're back up on the board here. I think this click here is Jalen Waddle. And there we go. All right, let me pull up the board here. We were talking about the Bears. If you guys are just tuning in, we were talking. So, yeah, Taylor Decker could be a late signing. Maybe he's someone who just didn't want to practice, didn't want to do the training camp stuff. That's like a very common theme with a lot of the older guys. I can assume that Aaron Donald is probably down that route. Everyone assumes he'll sign with the Rams, and he's just avoiding training camp right now, kind of not putting in that type of work, doing his own private workouts and doing all his own things. I wouldn't worry about a guy like Aaron Donald for sure. But yeah, Taylor Decker's been a weird one, but we'll see. We'll see where he ends up, if he ends up anywhere. There was a lot of rumors going around that he could even retire at this point due to all the injuries he's dealt with. And again, just overall, he's been more on the decline than he has shown any of what he was before. So we'll keep a close eye on that. That was a name rumored around the Bears for a while due to the connection with Ben Johnson. So I wouldn't rule it out just yet. We'll see up until the season comes, given the scenario that the Bears are in once again with the left tackle situation. By default, they can still fall and land Braxton Jones again until Ozzy Trapillo is healthy again. So we shall see. All right, we have CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle. We see Swift go off the board. DJ Moore, I've noticed over here on DraftKings, goes a little bit higher than a lot of these other guys. Garrett Wilson, we see go pick number 39. Ted Ibuka. Ibuka is one of those guys you might be getting at a good price here, given the whole situation, him in the turf toe. We have not gotten much of an update yet, other than maybe he plays week 1, maybe, those maybes. And the other key word we've been hearing all offseason is that's fine. Been kind of annoyed with the that's fine conversation. That has not been fun, because usually that's fine can come around with some really horrible news. And of course, that's not what we're hoping here for any of these guys going into the season. We are in the midst of home league drafts as well. So I know a lot of folks are drafting. I've already done 2. I got about 3-4 leagues I'm doing this weekend. So I got quite a few happening this weekend that I'm looking forward to as well. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, we get the Ashton Genty stuff happening. We're still waiting on a timeline for that. I don't know how much of a drop off you'll see really in home leagues. And I've been kind of like looking and searching, asking people who've been in leagues. But it sounds like he's coming around right here at the bottom end of the second round. So if you were interested or intrigued of drafting him, Genty might be there for you to grab. So we shall see. We shall see how that plays out. We got Jamison Williams coming off the board there. Josh Jacobs. We'll see how that flows. All right, let's pull up our board here. Let's see where we're at. We get Terry, Mike, Lamar. We got Joe Stevenson. All right, this is an area we can attack. Man, a lot of these wide receivers have come off the board already. Okay, all right, let's see. Jadarian Price going there is interesting. We get Terry McLaurin there. Mike Evans, there's been news on Mike Evans too. It's just every time there's something with Mike Evans, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, I'll be honest. And one thing on DraftKings that I do enjoy is the Q tags. Kind of helps because it pushes people out a little bit further before they get drafted. More than happy to consider Warren here because that's someone I've been wanting to draft a little bit more of. But let's go ahead. We're going to look at the drop on Lamar Jackson. Where are we here? Yeah, let's take Mike Evans here. Been talking about this a lot. The ex-receiver in a Kyle Shanahan office should do well in. Let's see how this back-to-back looks. All right. People love to burn clocks here. I miss these 20-second clocks, man. I wish they could implement this a little bit more over on DraftKings, hopefully next year. I know they had a few tournaments like that they were kind of testing out. We see Ramondre Stevenson go there. Okay. If you guys are just joining us for the very first time, welcome on in. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And hit that notification button. All right, we are back up. Why not? Let's take the quarterback here. I think we got Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle. We can do a Joe Burrow, but honestly, I can't do Joe over Lamar. Not for fantasy. Real life, yes. I would take Joe over Lamar, but not for fantasy purposes. So Lamar taking a bit of a dip there. 6th round, Lamar Jackson. I'll take that any day. Sounds like great value to me. And the thing with Lamar is there's so many ways to stack Lamar. Lamar's one of those players you don't absolutely need to stack. But obviously for him to reach his ultimate ceiling, which is what you're hoping to do, to again be in contention to win the $3 million to first place. Second place is $2 million. And third place is $1 million. So somehow to become a millionaire is what all our goals are. Stacking him could be the way to go, especially with how cheap those players are. The most expensive guy that you would be stacking him with, of course, would be Zay, and then, Derrick Henry if you want to consider that. So Lamar, you could do the Jacoby Lane route. He had some really, what's the word we can say? He had high praises for Jacoby Lane today. He basically said that he's a mixture of Odell Beckham Jr. and DeAndre Hopkins. Those were the words out of Lamar Jackson's mouth today. That's how he feels about Jacoby Lane. We'll see how that plays. And 2 guys he did play with. I know he played with Hopkins. I'm almost sure, OBJ was on that one of those Baltimore teams. And speaking of OBJ, saw him do one of his catches today during those practice clips that we saw, it amazes me how athletic that man still is, even at this age, going through the injuries he went through. Very unfortunate, man. Never forget when he went to the Rams, they were in the Super Bowl, I believe it was, right, where he got injured. He was off to a monster start. And it feels like since then, things really hasn't been the same for a player like Odell Beckham Jr., who was an absolute highlight reel. Every time you watched him play, it was must watch. Should be fun to have him in the same room with a guy like Malik Neighbors, who I'm very bullish on and love. I'm a big Malik Neighbors guy, so I'm excited to see just him being in that room and what he does for a guy like Malik Neighbors. Should be really interesting. All right, the Josh Jacobs news is something that was kind of taken out of context today. Sounds like, so here's the full quote on from Brian Gutterkist on Josh Jacobs. It says, yeah, I'm pretty confident we can sustain if he is suspended. Now, that doesn't mean we wouldn't make another move, but yeah, we'll deal with that when it comes. But we've obviously been preparing for that in case that happens. But at the same time, I feel really good about the guys we got in that room, and I think we could survive that. So basically, context, it was taken out of context, some of what he said. They're basically just simply saying we're preparing for anything at this point. They don't really have a good feel, at least that's what they're telling us, on what's going to happen with him. So they're prepared to bring, to have him play, obviously, and if something were to happen, what that may look. So very important information, especially this deep into the redraft season and fantasy draft season. We don't want those quotes taken out of context, because if we do, what happens? We start seeing Marshawn Lloyd jump everyone basically in drafts, in different rounds, and then we get the news that Josh Jacobs isn't suspended and he's playing week 1. So it could throw off a lot of draft strategies and such. So, of course, we care about that because we're in the fantasy landscape. We draft these players. This is what we do as a hobby, as a passion, whatever it is that you do it for. That's why we read into this information. We want to make sure we get the right information when doing so, just as much as we want to know the Ashton Genty stuff, right? Very important, not only for him and where he falls, but where should we be drafting Mike Washington Jr. at this point? It's all very contingent on how long that timeline is. So definitely something we will be keeping our eyes peeled here for. That information is going to be big. What else? What other information did we get today? The other information we did get today was the no more Pro Bowls. So they're going to continue to do the Pro Bowl votes essentially, and they're still going to be Pro Bowlers, but they just won't be playing those games anymore. That's finally getting taken out. We're seeing it year after year. They're trying to find creative ways because players are not going to want to play in that game environment anymore and risk getting hurt and impacting their season. All right, we're about to come up here. We got Lamar, Chase, Breece Hall, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, and Mike Evans. We're seeing a bit of a fall for someone like Jaden Daniels. I kind of know why, if you're paying attention to what's going on. We can touch on that real quickly here. All right, we got 12 seconds here. Where should we go? Thinking wide receiver. Let's do Jaden Daniels. I like this strategy of just going 2 quarterbacks if I could on DraftKings. Because there's 20 rounds, most people tend to do the 3 to 4 quarterbacks. But if I can find different ways to strategize and draft these guys differently, I'm jumping all over it as much as I can. All right, for someone like Jaden Daniels, right? So we got Rico Dowdles on the board. We got Kenny Gainwell. I'm looking at the running backs here. I think this is a spot to just take Diggs. Let's take Diggs. Let's pair him up here with Jaden Daniels. Let me take a look at something here. Who are our 2 running backs? I feel good about that. We got Downs. Yeah, it feels like this is a Diggs route based on what we have on the board. So we're gonna take Stephon Diggs. We're gonna stack him alongside Jaden Daniels, who we got to drop. It looked like 20 rounds there past ADP. So anytime we get that type of value, we're going to jump all over it. But yes, excuse me, for those just joining us, I'm a bit under the weather, but I'm getting through this. Always excited to draft and be here with you guys. But anywho, the Jaden Daniels stuff it seemed like today's practice was really bad. Things weren't looking good. We heard from one of their big beat reporters today, basically saying this is probably one of the worst offenses he's seen the Commanders play, which is not good at all. I'll pull it up here. But yes, the Laramie Tunsil thing is such a big deal, y'all. Top 3 left tackle in the league, and now out. I think he's out for the year. If not the year, he's out for most of the year, which obviously it's not good at all, being as good as he is and how important he is in this. So it said, this is the worst I've ever seen the Commanders offense in years. Inoperable offensive line. That's not good. That is not good at all. Not good to hear, especially for us folks drafting a lot of that offense. I'm in on Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, or Bill Krosky Merritt, for those who know him as Bill, JCM. But yes, Stephon Diggs is someone I've drafted a ton of. Very big on that. But there's still, again, it's always about game environments that I like to typically look at these things. So they're going to be passing a lot more. But that offensive line needs to get in rhythm for sure for Jaden Daniels. And then not only Jaden Daniels, but for this run game. Very crucial part, especially if David Blau is going to be running and operating a Ben Johnson offense is what we're hearing. If he's operating a Ben Johnson's offense, he's going to need that run game at a very good spot. So to have that run game do well, you're going to need a good offensive line as well too. So it could very well be gelling together right now. They still have some pretty solid pieces there. But obviously, again, Laramie Tunsil news, left tackle, being out is going to impact a lot on how that offensive line operates. I think we did get news today about Lane Johnson, which I know he's getting older, but he's still a very important piece to that Eagles offensive line. I don't know if we got a positive report yet from him, but yes, it says he returned to practice, and then it was yesterday that he walked off gingerly with the trainers, and then he pulled himself out. That was yesterday, and then today we got that he did return to practice. So that's good. That's good after hearing that, because Lane Johnson is also very important to this offensive line. And if you guys are just joining me for the very first time, I'm very passionate about offensive line play. I just love that position. I think it's a position that gets overlooked way too much. It's something that I've enjoyed researching and looking up for so many years as someone who follows this sport in general. We got college football coming up here too, which I'm very excited. Week 0, something to get really excited for. Football is back on our TVs, y'all. Not just preseason, but we're getting college football back. High school football is back. Everything is back. Football in general is back. Hard to not get excited for those things. All right, we got a 2-2-4 build here. We can go many different ways here, of course. We can take a look at what's on the board here at running back. We are seeing, so pick 107. Yeah, I think running back is a route to go here. I think we should put ourselves in position. Yeah, and Michael Pittman Jr. would have been a great pick there as well. I like Pittman Jr. where he's going. We're going to take Gainwell here. We have Jaden Daniels for the record, so Rachaad White wouldn't be a bad idea here too. And then Chuba Hubbard, I'm intrigued by it, but we're going to go Gainwell here. Because I still think Gainwell, when it's all said and done, we've talked about this before. I've been leaning on the Bucky side of things. But Gainwell still got paid to have a pretty solid role on that team. And at the very least, he's going to be a really good passing down back for them, which he showed he was really good last season for the Steelers. That is. All right, we are back up here. Harold Fannin is dropping, and very hard to say no to Fannin Jr. here. So we're going to go ahead and take Harold Fannin Jr. here with that selection. I think he gets overlooked way too much. Other players I would have minded there would have probably been like a Casey Concepcion. So right now we got a 2-3-4-1 build. Again, 20 rounds here over on DraftKings. We drafted yesterday on DraftKings. We are drafting again today on DraftKings. Always fun to kind of switch off and look up different platforms just to see how things are flowing. And I'll be honest, things can get really interesting on these DK streets, especially around this time at night. The way drafters move and the way they pick up their guys. So far, this draft here hasn't given those feels, but I did one yesterday prior to the stream that things were kind of going off the rail a little bit. Not much to get that draft tossed, but enough to kind of identify that people were going, doing their my guy drafts. And we've mentioned this here before. And again, if you're just joining us for the very first time here, welcome on in. We are drafting over here on DraftKings. We are doing their flagship contest, $3 million up top. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you also haven't hit it already. And why not? Hit that notification too while you're at it to stay locked in here. Again, we are doing 31 days of best ball. Day 19, we've been streaming for 19 straight days. So 19 straight days, we'll be here locked in, and then I'll keep you guys posted as the days continue. Really excited, not just for the continuation of this 31 days of best ball, but excited for what's to come during the regular season. I'll have a lot of things set up for y'all. Scheduled days, same time, nothing to impact that. But yes, Saturday nights, my goal is to plan our start-sit conversations, right? We're going to start getting a lot of the Schefter, Ian Rappaport news late nights, and hopefully we could catch them all live on our stream. We'll be going live those nights, and then we're going to be talking some best ball, DFS strategy, and looking into some DFS lineups, breaking down position by position, and might have a few guests or two. So excited for that too. So we got quite a few things planned out, and then obviously during the week we'll be doing our waiver wire show, and then I was considering maybe doing even a recap show during the week. So sit back, yeah, we're working on something, looking forward to it. So I'm excited building a community here, doing something I love, something I'm passionate about, and I want to do it with people who love and are passionate about the same thing I am, and that's fantasy football in general. I'm a big football guy for sure. All right. Ferguson going in the 11th round. That's interesting here. Just keeps flying up the boards. As always, I always like to mention here too, kind of good to grab your quarterbacks early because they do fly quickly over here on DraftKings. Rachaad White goes off the board. Someone I was considering. Dallas Goedert might be a guy we might start seeing a little bit more of. Some of the reports we're getting about Eli Stowers now, as you guys know, if you've been watching my stream, someone I have not been bullish at all on. Things have not been looking great there. All right, we are back up on the board here. We can go a few different routes. I think we should be, let's go wide receiver. I think this is a good spot to consider Jacoby Myers here. We're going to go take Jacoby Myers. But yes, the Eli Stowers thing is basically saying that they don't think he's basically ready. And there goes Mark Andrews. So that was someone I was considering there as well. We'll see how that plays out. We are at pick 134. Okay, so this is a conversation I've had on this stream. I think this is a good time to also take some shots here. I'm going to take Tyson here. Around 12, I think the risk you're taking here works perfectly fine. Because what if he does come back before that 2-month time frame they're giving us right now? Would work wonders. And obviously Tyson is just one of those guys, someone that I've been very bullish on in terms of the offense in general. I love drafting Chris Olave over there. But Tyson's just one of those guys that when he comes back, I just feel that his role is going to be it's going to be a heavy workload for him right off the bat when he walks in. I don't think they're going to try to bring him in slowly, in my personal opinion, especially if the Saints are playing really, really well. So we'll see how that whole thing pans out. Rashid Shaheed is someone I like to draft here as well. But yeah, Tyson is someone I wanted to start getting a little bit more of, and I wanted to start doing it from like the 12th round and on. That's kind of like where I'm playing around with his current ADP. Alec Pierce is not going to do as much of a drop anymore because it sounds like the news we're getting from him is a little more positive. Shane Steichen did come out and say that he is expecting him to practice as of this week or very soon here. So we'll see when that happens. And of course, if that happens anytime soon, that's going to be huge, huge for them. Excuse me. Josh Downs, calf injury, which of course, anytime we see that, we were talking about that earlier in the stream. Anytime we see that, we get a little concerned. Josh Downs has a lot of issues. He's a lot of soft tissue issues too, where he deals with these injuries that have impacted him, but very, very talented player, someone I'm really excited for this upcoming season. But did his presser today, I would think that if he's up there and a lot of these updates are basically saying that he should be good, there's no issues here, then we're in a good place. Until then, we will pay attention to that as well. Keenan Allen goes there. That's the guy they just signed. So Keenan Allen is now with the Indianapolis Colts, someone who is very familiar with this offense. His connection goes as far back as with the Chargers with Shane Steichen, when Shane Steichen was part of that offensive staff over there. We see Jonah Coleman come off the board here. See Marshawn Lloyd might be moving up a little bit again. The news that we got today was kind of taken out of context. Of course, we don't really know what's going to happen. And I remember a few weeks ago stating, I heard Adam Schefter give a report, and the report that he gave was basically stating that he actually would not be surprised if Jacobs were to get suspended, and then he also threw in like Puka Nacua, just two names that he's waiting to hear back from, but it wouldn't shock him. As far as like knowing for sure, he doesn't, obviously, because he's not really reporting more on that. But he was on a podcast and he was talking about those two names in particular from the offensive side of things, which matters to us more as we're drafting over here on DraftKings, doing a best ball on their flagship contest, $3 million up top. Again, if you're just joining us for the very first time, welcome on in. Make sure to hit that like button. Show support to the channel by subscribing to the channel and hit that notification button to stay locked in here with all my schedule dates and everything like that. Like I said, I'm drafting every single day here. 31 days of best ball. We are on day 19 of 31 days. Having a good time here. Vibes are high. Even though I'm a little bit under the weather, the vibes are always high when we get a chance to do drafts. And of course, taking in every minute and moment that we have, because before you know it, draft season will be gone and all our teams go live, and that's when the real competition starts. All right, let's pull up here. We got a 2-3-6-1 build. There are options obviously on the board here for us. We are looking at, let's see here. Actually, Tank is someone I always talk about drafting. Love him for best ball purposes here. I don't hate Spears too. I would consider Spears as well, given the type of role that he could command. Now, Bigsby has been the guy that just really attracts me, and I've said this before, because if something were to happen in front of him, or they were to start splitting a little bit of that workload, I feel like Bigsby's value really shines there, because I think he could be a cowbell in that offense. Yeah, let's go down this route. especially with the tight ends or with the running backs already taken off the board. So we're gonna go Bigsby. We got Brown, Breece Hall. We got Kenneth Gainwell, and now we got Bigsby. So those are our 4 running backs. We got a 2, 4, 6, 1 build. Let's see here. We can go. I don't feel the need to get a tight end. Chig is there if we want to double stack this whole thing, but I can also do Antonio Williams at the very end of this draft, especially given that there's 20 rounds here. So Spears goes. That would have been a guy I would have considered there. Let's go wide receiver here. Pat Bryant is someone I like. I get a lot of Adonai Mitchell, as you guys already know. We have Jalen Waddle, right? So, yeah, we don't want to add that, especially without Bo Nix. You got Jalen McMillan. I think we're just going to go Adonai Mitchell here. I think out of the options here, we can go tight end again, but we have Harold Fannin. So I'm just going to take Adonai Mitchell here to add to this team, which puts us at a 2-4-7-1 build. Again, if you guys are just joining us for the very first time, we are drafting over here on DraftKings. Welcome on in. We are on day 19 of 31 days of best ball. Always appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out here with us. So we took Adonai Mitchell there. So to start, we'll do a little bit of a recap here. We are CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans. At quarterback, we took Lamar Jackson. We saw a bit of a fall for Jaden Daniels. Got him at pick number 83, round 7. Then we take Stephon Diggs to stack alongside of him. We got Kenny Gainwell. We got Harold Fannin Jr. We got Jacoby Myers, Jordan Tyson, and Adonai Mitchell. Definitely want to add a little bit more to the wide receiver room when you add a guy like Jordan Tyson, because we're not going to be expecting much of Jordan Tyson for a while here. But hopefully, he makes this wide receiver room a lot stronger. There goes a name been seen high up on the board, Cyrus Allen. Everything we keep hearing out of camp is good. Very bullish on him overall. I like him. I just haven't drafted a ton of him here. I think his price is getting a little bit higher than I typically like to click, if I'm being honest. But has less to do with the excitement behind him and more to do with just the other players that I like drafting in that same area. So we talked about Odell Beckham Jr., the Cardinals and the Packers had a joint practice today. Sounds like the guy who was not playing really well today was Jordan Love. Sounds like he had a really bad practice. But I'm sure it was really interesting to see Mike LaFleur and Matt LaFleur going at it in practice, joint practice. We got news as far as Arizona. So we got Marvin Harrison Jr. caught a big touchdown today. Very interested to see how that all pans out once the regular season starts. The whole Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like a lot of people are kind of just figuring it all out when it comes to making a decision there. There goes Greg Dulcich flying up the board there. Usually I like to grab him a little later on. The note we heard, it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday, was that Dulcich can easily become the highest target earner in this Miami Dolphins team. So I'm sure that news like that will get him to move up a little bit higher. Pat Bryant taking a bit of a fall. Well, a fall for where his ADP has been lately. I like Pat Bryant. I think Pat Bryant also works perfectly over here on DraftKings. We're going to pull up the board here shortly, see what we're working with. Again, we got a 2-4-7-1 build. We got tight ends coming off the board. Let's see what tight ends are still on the board. I saw Terrence Ferguson taken in the 11th round. I don't know. That might be the highest I've seen him go. Harold Fannin is, what is it, by week 11? Yeah, this could be still a 3 tight end room. I like to take a lot of A.J. Barner. That's someone I've liked to take. At wide receiver, let's see what they still have out there. And so you still got, you got Trey Harris, Ryan Flournoy. There's still a lot of players I like right around here. At running back, This is where it kind of starts. See, Dylan Sampson feels like a really good pick here too. And he's at the top of the board here. Do we get a chance at him? I sure as heck hope so, because he would be a solid pick for us here. If not, I like Brian Robinson Jr. as well. I think you can't go wrong with either or. I think those are two solid guys at this point in the draft. But yes, I think running back is the route we go, and then we try to push tight end. Isaiah Pacheco. Very interesting, especially with the latest news that we have gotten in regards to Kareem Hunt getting looked at over there. He came in to visit. So Kareem Hunt might be signing there. We shall see. With the Detroit Lions, that was something we were, the latest that we got. Sounds like the Pacheco and the Vaki running back room hasn't done enough for that competition at RB2. Now, does that make me nervous for Jahmyr Gibbs? Absolutely not. Stays 101. Not too worried about that. I think Gibbs is going to still be in a very strong spot. He is going to be the engine of this offense. He's going to be very, very important. All right. We have wide receivers up on the board, right? We got Trey Harris, Ryan Flournoy, and Omar Cooper Jr. I like a lot of Ryan Flournoy. I know I have a lot of exposure to him on the other site. I think we go down that route here. Yes, we're going to go Flournoy. I think Flournoy is the way to go. So we take him there. Let me pull up the board. And give me 1 second here, y'all. Apologies once again. A little under the weather. I was feeling it yesterday night, but we're not taking any days off here. We're gonna keep drafting, and yeah, hopefully, maybe the winner is being drafted when we're feeling the way we're feeling right now. So we shall see. But again, if you guys are just joining us here for the very first time, welcome on in. Make sure to like the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification button and subscribe to the channel. Show some support. We got a lot of fun things planned. I mentioned it. We had a lot of fun guests on last week. It was a very, very fun week. Make sure to check out the channel, check out the streams. Also, if you go to our channel, you'll see the links for the other social media platforms as well that I am currently on. Those will be utilized a lot more once the regular season comes in and we start talking about waiver wire pickups, sleeper picks, and such, so we could try to get ahead of everyone else and give you the best edge possible to help win your leagues. We're going to do a lot of DFS talk. I'm big on the daily fantasy streets. Love me some NFL DFS. Been playing it for so long now. Probably, what are we, 2026? I want to say about like 11 or 12 years I've been playing it. Very hand build-esque kind of guy. So love me, we'll still look at projections. We'll look at what, you still have to kind of play around with how the field plays everything. But I still like different strategies on how to build. But we'll talk more about that once the regular season starts. And like I said, I might have a guest or two hop on those streams with us. I've been talking to a few people who are more than happy to do so, which would be so much fun. AJ Barner comes off the board there. I know we were discussing before the Ryan Flournoy if we should go tight end. We got a 2-5-8-1. So we definitely need to start considering tight end here, given how the tight end position is probably looking at this point. We have, let's see here, at tight end, and I think I just saw, yeah, you're just starting to see all these guys. So yeah, when we come up here, we'll prioritize this position. I don't take much K-Dot, and I'll be honest. But at some point, you just look at K-Dot and you're just like, all right, man, you kind of just fit what I'm working with here, fit what I'm building. And if you want to consider the playoff best ball weeks, you got a New Orleans, you get Atlanta, and you get the Rams, which for sure We do have our New Orleans with Jordan Tyson. So, you can find ways to correlate it. Obviously, it's fun when you get him with his quarterback. But at this point, I did like our Harold Fannin Jr. selection. Kind of took back here a little bit when it came to the tight end. Kenyon Sadiq would have been great there too in round 17. So we shall see here. Darren Waller, I'm being a little bit careful with. We're hearing different conversations there. So bye week 11 is really the big one here for these tight ends. I still want to take like an Eli Raritan. So someone I want to consider here. Heck, even Mason Taylor, someone you can flirt with there. I haven't taken much of him, but anywho, we'll see where we're at. Look at this, quarterbacks flying off the board already. Cade Otton goes. All right, if we get Pat Freiermuth here, that is the way to go. If not, Seth McCowan is finally moving up boards. He is officially the RB2. We're even seeing Samaje Perine. This all is tied into all the news that we're getting out there right now. All right, let's take Pat Freiermuth. We have a need at the tight end position, so we're going to go ahead and take Freiermuth here. And then these are the ranks right now that we're looking at as far as players that are still left on the board. The one guy we have not got, I think we're gonna put, is he really this low? Or did he go already? Let's see. Yeah, he's still here. I would like to take Elijah Surratt to pair alongside of him. We could do Justice Hill. Honestly, I don't really click Justice Hill, but I guess for this team it makes sense. Not a guy I really like to click, I'll be honest. I feel better with like Seth McCowan. Heck, even like a Kamani Valdell at this point. Let's go Chris Bell. He's moving off the boards here. We're going to take Chris Bell here. That puts us at 9 wide receivers. We'll recap this real shortly here. And then, yeah, we're just going to stick with the 2 quarterback route. And then maybe these guys are still there when we come back up. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the team looks from the draft board aspect of it. So we started off with CeeDee Lamb. So we got a 2-5-9-2 build. We started off with CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans. We have Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Stephon Diggs, Kenny Gainwell. We got Harold Fannin Jr., Jacoby Myers, Jordan Tyson, Tank Bigsby, Adonai Mitchell, Dylan Sampson, Ryan Flournoy, and then we had Chris Bell, who looks to start. He could be out there week 1, week 2. We shall see. I feel like he's someone they'll be a little bit slower to throw out there, given their trajectory maybe for this season. So would not surprise me. He tore his ACL at Louisville. So looks like he's healthy right now and looking to come back. But again, I don't know. We shall see. I would assume they try to take it a little bit slowly with him, but I think that he could be someone very important when it's all said and done. So Chris Bell there. As far as tight ends go, Michael Mayer is going high, and I love it because I think he's a really solid pick. Gone are the days when you were selecting him in the 20th round. But that's why I like guys like Eli Raritan, Eric All. Those are guys that I'm more than happy to select as a tight end 3 with a ton of upside that could really do well there. All right, we have George Halani, round 18 too. That's a lot for me there. All right, we were talking news. Pro Bowl's gone. That's a big one, y'all. So the Pro Bowl's gone. That has no impact here whatsoever. Daniel Popper, really good follow over on X. He is a Chargers beat reporter. When asked about the Chargers running back room, he says Omarion Hampton is really, 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 3 reallys, good at football. I wouldn't overthink it here. Omarion Hampton is the guy. I feel like when it's come to this running back room, the questions that are in doubt here as Kamani Valdell gets taken there has been more to do with there being 3 running backs that seem locked in to make the roster. Now, Keaton Mitchell had like a little mild setback, apparently, is what we heard from Harbaugh the other day. I believe it was yesterday. But nonetheless, I think the Omarion Hampton stuff and why people have been a little bit more hesitant to clicking the name has a lot to do with how crowded this running back room may look. But when just talking overall talent, this is a guy who I think is going to look great in this Mike McDaniel's offense. And who knows, we might be overthinking this 3 running back who I still feel all will play somewhat of a solid role. But when it's all said and done, Omarion Hampton does enough to pay off where he's getting selected right now. I feel like that's been a click, and there goes Eli Raridan. That's been a click that most people have been a little bit scared to click just due to that. All right, let's pull up all, which kind of works with our correlation here with Lamar. And let's see if we get Surratt here to pair alongside Lamar Jackson. Kind of looking at some of the names here that are still on the board. Again, this is 20 rounds, so you're kind of hitting a little bit more of those deep scrolls. Seth McGowan is someone who should be getting drafted a little bit more now in best ball. Jaden Higgins, huh? Interesting. Did not expect that name to pull up there. Round 19. I mean, you might as well grab Ricky Pearsall at this point if you have some inside information that none of us know about. Very, very interesting. Did not expect that. It took a while, and Jaden Higgins is not even like at the top of the board either. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Jaden Higgins gets taken there. Christian Kirk and Antonio Williams would have been a nice pick there too, but I rather add to our tight end room, and I'm going to go ahead and select Eric All. Eric All is someone who I just think has a firm grasp of this tight end room. I don't think we're hearing enough about it, and it's being talked about enough. But I do think Eric All, when it's all said and done, is the guy there. It's just the guy. Mike Gesicki's role as far as like the tight end role, it just looks different. And I think what he offers to the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be a lot different. And then keep in mind the style of offense that they're going to be playing now. Cincinnati Bengals are going to be taking more snaps under center. I don't know. I feel like Eric All, if you just go back to his rookie season and how well he was playing, and I've talked about this before here on these streams too, just as a blocker, as a pass catcher, just overall, like he was on the field and he was starting to look like such an excellent pick, but has been someone with a really rough injury history. And then sure enough, he gets hurt his rookie season, and then we didn't get to see much of him. So everything we're hearing, all the reports, when I look him up, everything is positive. All things are positive about Eric All Jr., that he is healthy. So since it's not one of those names that everyone kind of runs to, no one's really clicking this name. So I've been trying to select him a little bit more, especially over here on this site in round 20. And if the build is right over on UD, I select him too, especially with Joe Burrow. Excuse me. All right, so we get Michael Penix. They're taking Pop Douglas. We were talking about Pop Douglas now with Kayshon Boutte, now officially with the Houston Texans. So that's a big one. Bryce Lance goes there. Seems like a deeper dart throw, because it sounds like Barian Brown is playing very well right now in training camp and might have a leg up on that possible wide receiver 4 role. Bateman goes there. We're still waiting here back on that off-field mess that he's in. So will not surprise me if we start hearing about that real soon. And then the Mr. Irrelevant could be relevant pick of the night is, I shouldn't have hit that button with how this lags. Let's go ahead and take a look at who that pick was. And it was Jahan Dotson. Blast from the past. Never forget the excitement behind Jahan Dotson coming out of college. There was a lot of hope for him and hype for him. I was even excited. I was in on that, and I wanted to see a big Jahan Dotson NFL career, and that has not been the case. Even with the Commanders, he's been kind of moving around a little bit. Sounds like he should be making the 53-man over there in Atlanta. We shall see. But yes, a guy that there was once hope for. So mystery relevant pick could be relevant pick. Jahan Dotson there. Let's go ahead and recap the team. We've recapped it quite a few times this way. We're going to recap it here from the player side of things. Once this thing loads for us here, apologies for the technical difficulties. There we go. So we got a 2, 5, 10, 3 build, 20 rounds over on DraftKings. At quarterback, we got Lamar Jackson. We got Chase Brown, Breece Hall, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans. Then we got Harold Fannin Jr., Stephon Diggs, Jaden Daniels to stack alongside Diggs. We got Kenny Gainwell, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Tyson. We get Tank Bigsby. We get Adonai Mitchell, Dylan Sampson, Ryan Flournoy, Pat Freiermuth, Chris Bell, Elijah Surratt, and then we got Eric All Jr. We got a lot of rookies on this team too. I've noticed a lot of the rookie wide receivers that have come out this year out of this class. Our tight end room is really contingent of, and I just noticed we got the whole AFC North there. Basically, we got a Cleveland Brown, a Pittsburgh Steeler, and a Cincinnati Bengal. We were aiming for Mark Andrews, and he got taken right before we went. Someone we wanted to pair alongside Lamar Jackson. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We will be back tomorrow. Even if I don't feel better, I promise to still be on. We got to keep this streak alive. I'm sure I will. All fingers crossed. I'm going to feel much better than I felt tonight. But yes, tomorrow will be day 20. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing y'all hanging out in the chat with us as well as we draft. Thank you guys once again. Have a great night and peace.